right, it is 12:02, and I'd like to start out. I'm going to start with our webinar right now. So first, before we kind of dive too far in here, definitely like to say thank you for everybody for attending today. There is an opportunity to ask questions kind of as we go along. And this webinar will probably be about 45 minutes or so in length. And at the end of the presentation, I will open everything up for additional questions and such. So feel free to ask any questions you may have. Today, you guys should be seeing my screen here. It's going to have the title today of the presentation. And my presentation today is going to be on sheet creation, the schedule way. So just for you guys who are newer to Revit or may not necessarily go the route of utilizing schedules too much, we've got some alternatives to creating sheets utilizing schedules and kind of setting things up. So that's going to be the bulk of the presentation today, and what my workflow is to do that. So any questions you guys run into, feel free drop in the chat, and we'll answer them as we go along. All right. So just to introduce myself again, my name is Joe Lavia. I'm a senior MEP technical specialist here with ATG USA. Basically, what I do some webinars like this and other marketing materials such as blogs and white papers. Also, I do some training as well. So we do some Revit Essentials training, and I do Revit Essentials training in MEP. So basically, start to finish of a project, how we kind of do that, how we create views, set up a project, deliver a project, everything along those lines. I also do project work on both the VDC side. So you guys who do VDC coordination, I do some project work in that realm. I also help out with project work in the design world. So that's a little bit of my background. I've worked for an MEP firm where we converted from CAD to Revit at one point, and I've also worked on the contracting side of the world where we did a lot of coordination for MEP. So any questions or anything like that regarding any of those services, feel free. At the end, there will be a slide dedicated to email address and everything like that. Feel free, grab our information and reach out to us with any questions. Just some of the notable projects I've worked on. I've worked on a police station out in the Chicago region, Oswego, Illinois. Worked on some hospital type of work, Harry Potter roller coaster, and the Milwaukee Bucks arena. So I've had a variety of different projects, smallest to the small here in Madison, Wisconsin, to some of the larger projects in the country. And today's webinar, basically, description, we're going to discuss setting up sheets with schedules. And then we're going to go through some of the properties that come with those schedules, such as filters and some of the other categories and everything along those lines. So I'll dive into some of those aspects, and feel free, any questions you guys may have, drop me a line. Some of our learning objectives today will be to set up those schedules to create sheets. We will also add some filters to our settings. We'll categorize our schedules, and then we'll also do some sheet naming. All right. Now it's time to dive into Revit. Okay, so you guys should see Revit on my screen here. All right, and just what we're looking at here, this is going to be just one of my my training data sets that I have. So this is my Revit Essentials training MEP data set that I'm utilizing. Some quick aspects of what we have here. This is our cover sheet that we have out here, which is set up as an actual sheet view, and this is going to be our starter view. I do have some additional project setup sheets and a view list already created previously as well. And then there's a whole slew of different information out here when it comes to views and details and all kinds of stuff like that. So I've got some stuff to pull off of. From a mechanical and plumbing standpoint, these are what I've done in the past for sheets. So we're going to go through some of the sheet options here in this case. So first thing I'd like to start with, I'm going to give you kind of a presentation of what I have for my list, and then we're going to start the actual workflow. So here's my overall sheet list that we have out here. And you can see I've got sheet number, one of my categories, sheet name, sheet issue dates, current revisions, revision descriptions. Then there's also some revisions issued. So I can see some of those pieces as well, and then discipline. So this is some of the basics of what I've utilized in the past. And I'm going to go through how we actually set some of this stuff up. All right, so being we have mechanical and we have plumbing taken care of, we're going to work on electrical today. All right, so the first thing I want to do, I'm going to go to my view tab here on Revit. Within my view tab, we got the create panel, and within the create panel, we have schedules. All right, so within schedules, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this bar down, and that's going to open up the type of schedules that I want to set up. Okay. The first thing that I'm looking at is when it comes to sheet list is going to be a sheet list schedule. So the benefit with how Revit is set up here, there is a specific schedule designed for sheet lists. There's also one designed for view list as well. So just like what I'm doing with sheets, you can do something fairly similar with views. That way you can make sure you get all your views added in here, and you can see them all in one nice, neat little schedule. Some of you guys who do a lot of project setup, maybe drawing manager, BIM manager, so on, you guys put together some different sheet lists per discipline that goes on your cover sheet. So this would be that option. Okay. Now for a sheet list, I'm going to select sheet list here. And then what that's going to do, that's going to bring up this nice sheet list property box. Okay, and then within that property box, we've got a couple options. We got our fields, we got our filters, sorting, and grouping, formatting, and then appearance. All right. So right now, what we're concerned about is our fields. Basically, guys, what a field is going to consume of is, if you can see here, as I scroll down, the idea behind the field is going to be those parameters that we're looking at, that we're trying to pull information from. Okay, so we know Revit is a parameter-based program. I for information, that's exactly what we're trying to do, is pull information. So first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my sheet number. I'll push this across. On top of that, I want to make sure I got my sheet name. So that's very important to me as well. I'm not necessarily, when I'm doing a rough and dirty setup, I'm not worried about sheet item or sheet issue dates, not necessarily current revisions or anything revision related. However, I am worried about discipline. So that way I can organize a little bit, because if you're like me, having a mile and a half worth of stuff can get a little confusing when we're working on things, right? So this is going to be kind of a start here. There are some alternative options that you guys can look at out here. So you can see a sheet order, sheet issue date, model version, keywords, guide grids, drawn by, designated by, all the revision stuff, count, so on and so forth. So these are some alternatives. Also, there are some additional options out here if you're looking to do this with new parameters and such. So you guys can have project parameters and everything, and kind of customize this out the way you'd like. I'm not going to go in that far into detail, just because that's saved for maybe a later time. But these are the basics. These come with out of the box Revit, and these essentially get us started. So before I dive into any of the other tabs here, I'm going to select the OK button. All right, so now basically what can we see here? We're in the sheet, and we can see now we have a whole series of different options out here when it comes to sheet lists. So we can see our sheet number, we can see some of our current sheet names, and then we can also see some of our disciplines, right? So I'm going to go up to my modify tab here so you guys can see my modify tab. All right, so the modify tab, traditionally when it comes to schedules, gives us a whole slew of different options out here. Freeze header, stripe rows, all kinds of different things. So I do have a question out here from Ben asking why would there be a count field for the sheet list schedule? Aren't they all individual? And Ben, definitely. The answer I have for you is every time I try to utilize the count from that aspect, they are individual. So I don't traditionally utilize the count world. I believe there's a way to bridge that gap. But when it comes to setup, I haven't necessarily explored that level with count yet for that parameter. So those are some options I'll look into further in the future. But when it comes down to setting the project up, we're trying to get it out as fast as possible. So that's why I'm utilizing some of the main tools that we've had for years now in Revit. All right. So based on what I have here, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to name this. So this is going to be my electrical sheet list, right? Just to throw a standard name on here. Got a subdiscipline listed up here. I can adjust. I got view classification. I can adjust model version. And then we've got some options down here for discipline. So I could do this as a project setup, plumbing, so on and so forth. I utilize the discipline tab. It allows me to key in information. So you can see in my project browser here, I've got project setup as an option, and that's controlled by this discipline parameter. So the moment I drop this into project setup, now you can see here's my electrical sheet list, right? There's also a keywords option as well. I can adjust with training if I choose to. So it gives me some flexibility, but I am essentially setting up my schedule browser based upon my discipline. Okay. So just like views, you can go through your browser organization and adjust your views. Well, you can do that with schedules as well. So there is some flexibility there. All right, so now that we've got some of this kind of figured out, the next step that I'm looking at is I'm going to go into my filter and I'm going to edit my filters, right? So, so essentially what I'm looking for specifically is going to be sheet name, sheet number, and stuff like that. So these are the 3 items I can filter because this is the fields that I'm taking care of. So I'm going to hold off on filtering right now. What I'm going to do is go to my sorting and grouping. Under my sorting and grouping tab here, I want to sort based upon my sheet number. Okay. So I can sort based upon sheet numbering. I can sort based upon sheet name or discipline. So I'll end up sorting to start with based upon sheet numbering. Okay. So that's going to give me some of my basic information. I've got it ascending, right? I'm not going to do header or footer. And then my next step is going to be to sort based upon discipline. Okay. And based upon the discipline, this is where now I can do this check blank. And now I can adjust a little bit based upon what the discipline is listed at. So for all my sheets that I'm looking at, if I want all my electricals bunched together versus maybe all my my plumbings or my mechanicals, I can do that. So just simply by going through here and selecting blank lines, right? And then finally, and I've got an active project I'm working on right now, what I'll do is I'll come down to the bottom here and where it says grand totals, I'll check this box down here. That way I can get a grand total. So on the fly, when I'm being asked, well, how many sheets do you have in your set? that kind of gives me a little bit of an ability to understand the amount of sheets. So um, there's, especially when you're working on projects where you've got maybe multiple scope boxes happening. So A area, B, C, D, all the way through whatever. This will help kind of hone in on what you're looking at to deliver. All right, so the next step I'm looking at is going to be our format. So here in format, I can go right through, look at my fields and everything along those lines. And then within format, I don't really have anything that's going to adjust the field format, but I do have conditional format that I can go through. So if I wanted to add text or add color or add anything like that, I can go in here and add some of that. So for instance, if I come in here and I start with something maybe that has an M or something along those lines, I can start adjusting color and so on and so forth, just to kind of pop out that information. So I don't necessarily want to go that route, but that gives me some flexibility there. And then finally, for appearances, this is a topic of discussion when it comes to appearances. So here in Revit, we can customize based upon the actual schedule like this, and we can keep all our controls right in the individual schedule. Otherwise, there are opportunities for view templates, and that view template can adjust your appearances. So you do get some of that flexibility, right? So now we're going to stick with kind of what we have out here. And the first thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to select the OK button. And now you can see I've got some options out here. And I can really kind of play with this a little bit. So once I've organized a little bit, now I can come in, I can adjust this down further. So maybe I don't want to adjust by sheet numbering. I can start and I can just go with discipline, remove the other discipline, add my blank line in here, gives me that flexibility, and then I can drop a filter out here. So now I've got a filter. I can come down here and I can do a sheet number or a sheet name. So I'm going to do a sheet name in this case. And the sheet name I'm going to set for contains or equals. Where's my equals? Right here at the top. And if I pull down, I can now see what is out here. Okay, so if I wanted to adjust this to show specifically just my starting view, I can set an equal. If I wanted to not show my starting view, I can set does not equal, and then just like that, that view goes away, right? Or that sheet goes away. So you can see down here at the bottom, I got my grand total, so on and so forth. I've got some of my other information. Now, once I've kind of figured this out a little bit, I got this set up the way I want to start this process. I can start and I can come down to the create panel and create a new sheet, right? So if I know I'm going to have a bunch more sheets, so I want to create electrical sheets. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here in my actual sheet schedule that I have here. I'm going to create a new sheet. So let's start with creating a new sheet. All right, now I can choose what I'm looking at from sheet. So I'm going to go naturally with my 30 by 42. This is going to be electrical. So, and these title blocks I have, these are right out of the MEP productivity pack. So now I can select that sheet right there and hit OK. So you can see it brings me right down to my sheet. You can see it's got my sheet number out here, sheet naming. So I'm going to start this process right in the actual sheet. I'm going to do this E-001. So everything starts, actually, we'll do this 000. So we'll name our sheet naming convention. So electrical cover sheet. All right, we're going to set our discipline in this case. So right down here in our properties palette, I can set my discipline. I don't have electrical listed out here. So I can come in here and key electrical. All right. And I can add additional information if I choose to. I can add grid guides if I choose to. It's however I'm looking at this. So I can call this cover sheet as a keyword. Gives me some flexibility there. So now this is named. This is set up. I can come back into my actual sheet schedule, and you can see now I've got my actual sheet started, and it's in our list. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to close out all my inactive views, and now I want to make this a process. I want to speed this process up a little bit. So I know if I select my sheet again, create new sheet, come back down, select electrical 30 by 42. Okay, so now I got my E001. If I hit Control Tab on the keyboard, it will take me right back to my sheet list. Again, Control Tab takes me right back to my sheet list. You can see here's my my E001 sheet, and now I can adjust some of this information right in my actual sheet list. So I can come in here, call this E101, start with a naming convention, or kind of get this naming somewhat figured out. Or I could also go the route of leaving this named here and speeding this up by creating a new sheet. We know how Revit works when it comes to sheet naming. So if I've got E101, my next one should be E102, right? E102, Control Tab, back down, E103, Control Tab, right? All right, so I do have a question out here. Have you ever discussed how you got that discipline parameter yet? This discipline parameter comes with my actual title block here. So depending on the type of title block, there will be different parameters tied into that title block. Otherwise, there are some alternatives to where you can add that in the Manage tab under, say, a project parameter, so on and so forth. Project parameter. Otherwise, and I think there's something similar or fairly the same with some of the new out-of-the-box stuff in 2020 or 2021. So that's how we can add those parameters to help us with our sheet naming conventions. So otherwise, you do have, for some of the other out-of-the-box information, you guys can utilize some of the other parameters that are available. Yeah, you'll see some of them. So some will. So I've got a question here. So you've added it to the title block. It is a custom parameter in the title block family. So yeah, you'll see in some title block families, they're added in there already. Other Revit sessions, depending on kind of what you're working on for your project, will not necessarily put it in the title block family. It will be added more along the lines as a project parameter. So those are two options, and I believe this one comes from the actual title block family. So when I brought the title block in, it brought that parameter in with it. All right, so just kind of keep rolling here with setting this sheet set up here. I can go through, and now I can kind of keep following right down the line. So E104, and then I can set my next level of sheets. So if I come back here, now that 105, I can make that, say, 201. And then I can come right through here. I can adjust my discipline. So now I've got some discipline information out here, right? And I can go through and I can name some of this. Electrical, floor plan, level 0, 1, and then power. So, and then I like to copy and paste. So copy, paste, change that to level 2, so on and so forth. Change that to level 3 and adjust to level 4. Okay. So I got another question out here. This might be jumping ahead, but is there a way to batch create the sheets rather than repeating the steps to create each sheet individually? That is a good question. So for batch creating sheets outside of tools, I have not found an easier way to batch create sheets. However, CTC does offer tools such as the View Creator, where I believe we can come in here and we can actually go to sheet and title block creation. And there's a way to adjust and add sheets here or batch add sheets. So there are options, but that's a third-party tool that we offer. And that would be an alternative option. And then you get to select the specific title block and everything along those lines, name everything right out here. So there are options. If you are interested in doing that, I would highly suggest checking out the CTC BIM project suite. Feel free to get in touch with us here, and we can offer a demo. And then there's I believe a 14-day free trial, and at the end of the day, you get to keep the free tools. So that is an alternative, and within that alternative as well, you can do your views also. So this is a faster option out here to set your views and everything up also, and then come in and do your sheets, drop everything on there, and you're set to go. So if you're looking for speed and some simplicity, I would suggest going through that. But if you're like so many of the other firms that are out here who are still coming into Revit, this is a good alternative route for setting up your project, setting up your sheets. That way you're not spending a whole bunch of additional time coming out here and going this route of new sheet and so on and so forth, and trying to answer everything and taking a long process per se. So outside of some of this basic information, what I also look to do is when it gets to that point where I've essentially started that process of going through, adjusting my information, adding in some of my filters, sorting certain ways. Now at this point, we can break these up to where now we can put sheet lists and everything like that on our cover sheet. So if I need a sheet list for mechanical, if I need a sheet list for electrical, if I need a sheet list for plumbing, I can break them up based upon having this one schedule out here, and you can see how fast it populates. So you guys also have the luxury of outside of this standard sheet list, there are the schedules and quantities sheet lists, or not sheet lists, but schedules and quantities for some of your elements, such as maybe your ductwork, your piping, and so on and so forth. And you kind of follow a very similar process to set up different schedules and stuff like that in that case. So at this point, what I'm going to do, this is the basics of what I have here. If I come in here, I can finish naming some more. So electrical ceiling plan, level 01, and then lighting. This gives me some flexibility as well. I will inform you guys also that another great option at this as well is going to be when you guys are looking at when you're looking specifically at let's go out here. Hang on one second. When you're really diving into this and you're trying to speed this process up, but you don't have view creators or batch create for sheets in the CTT BIM tools, you can very easily, and I've done this in the past, basically have your Revit up on one screen and then have an Excel spreadsheet on the other screen. And within that Excel spreadsheet, you can have all of your names and even your sheet numbers if you chose to, as well as some of your discipline information, literally sitting in that spreadsheet, and then just it's copy and a paste right across. So that way you guys aren't sitting there for hours on end going through this process trying to set up a project. So this is basically the presentation aspect of what I have here. Very simple, simplified, and it will definitely help you guys speed up that process. Does anybody have any questions? So I'm going to open the floor up to questions here. And when I open up the floor to questions, I'm going to come back over to my presentation here and questions. Will there be a video of this webinar? So thank you for the question on that. There will be a video of this webinar. It will be on the ATG USA YouTube page. So definitely feel free to check that out. Okay, so we have our ATG USA YouTube page. You may also see that on LinkedIn as well. So. All right, so I have someone asking, could you show how to put discipline into the title block family? That's going to be something that we would have to take offline at this point, because I'd have to dive into the title block and everything along those lines, and it's going to take a little bit longer than the amount of time I have left on the webinar here. But feel free, send me an email. My email is listed right here in the PowerPoint, and we can address that offline. Awesome. So thank you guys. All right, I have another question out here. What is the best way to insert sheet parameters from linked architectural model to MEP model? Oh, okay. So that is a very good question. In fact, what I will do for that question here, I'm going to go back into my Revit session. All right. So, so with some of those parameters, so first of all, when it comes to a title block, you're getting your title block from the architect, right? We all understand that. The architect has a specific way and a method on how they do things. However, when it comes to aspects regarding sheets and so on and so forth, and project information and stuff like that, we can pull some of that information. So what I've been given in the past is basically a step-by-step way and how they want us to add parameters, whether they want us to have a global parameter or they want us to have a project parameter. They'll send over some information on that. Outside of that, when I'm trying to pull information, they'll have that created on most occasions. And more often than not, I've been seeing that in the project information. So when I pull their project information across, if the architect has created custom parameters for project information, that's where I can grab some of that as well. So just by literally going to the Manage tab here on the ribbon, going to our settings panel, and then transfer project standards. This is all I do to bring project parameters and project information across. I don't have to sit there anymore and go through and try to recreate what they've already done for work. I can just transfer it across right out of their project. And because I've got their models linked into my project, I don't necessarily have to go through and open up their instance and so on and so forth. I can now pull in Revit 2020, I can pull information right out of their model because it's linked in, right? So just basically coming in here and checking those two boxes, hitting the OK button, it brings that information right across for me. Awesome. Any other questions you guys might have? Okay, and I'm going to go back to my schedule over here to follow up. Does having models on BIM 360 impact the transfer of parameters? Oh, that is a good question. The last attempt at that that I did, I'm trying to think, that was a couple weeks ago. I believe I went into a separate instance. BIM 360, I believe, does have somewhat of an impact when it comes to models that are linked in. So let me actually try that option at some point. I'd say definitely feel free to get in touch with me. Let me kick back over to my email. We could take that offline as well. I believe it does, but I'm not thinking right off the top of my head right this second if it does or if it doesn't. In fact, I may have, let me see here. I've got a couple of my guys on the call if they can weigh in on that in the chat here real quick. That might help out a little bit as well. Rico, Barker, do you guys know if BIM 360 impacts transfer parameters? So I'm asking them right now, and we'll see if they come back with something here in a moment. But definitely, here's my email address. Take my email address down. We can address this offline. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay. And while we're waiting for questions, I'm going to go back to my sheet list here. Play with my filters a little bit as well. I can also set this to where it says does not equal electrical. And now I can see specifically just my mechanical, my plumbing, or I can come down and adjust my filters to where does not equal any of those other options, or just equals electrical. It's giving me trouble. Hang on. Let me set this up. None. And discipline equals electrical. It's giving me trouble now. What is going on here? Hang on, let me recreate this one. Okay, so so I have an answer here. BIM 360 should just be a way to host essentially. Okay, and should affect specific. Okay. Yep, so we'll get back in touch with you on some of the information on that. Feel free to email me or reach out to our sales team or whatnot, and we'll go through and dive into that a little bit more. If it did take a couple minutes to open up my one of my BIM 360 projects, I'd dive into that with you right now. But just like the title block question, it's going to take a minute. So All right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions come through, so I would definitely like to thank everybody for coming out today and giving me some of your time. And feel free to get in touch with us if you guys have any questions, or if you guys are looking for any type of training, any type of consulting, project mentoring, or if you guys like so many of our clients and so many of our friends in the industry, if you guys run into a situation where all of a sudden you manage to see every ounce of project work that magically disappeared due to COVID come back, give us a call and we'll see what we can do to help you guys out. So thank you guys. Everyone have a good day.